Lucky American coins. The 2002 United States 1-cent coin, better known as the Lincoln cent or Lincoln penny, is a fascinating piece of American numismatic history because it represents the continuation of one of the longest-running coin designs in the United States. To many people, a 2002 penny may look like nothing more than a small copper-colored coin that has been sitting unnoticed in a pocket, a drawer, a cash register, an old jar, or a collection of loose change. Yet for collectors, the story can be much more complicated. A 2002 Lincoln cent can become interesting when it has an unusual mint error, an exceptionally high grade, a rare variety, a dramatic production mistake, or a combination of characteristics that separates it from the millions of ordinary coins produced that year. This is why collectors often examine even modern pennies carefully, searching for double designs, off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, wrong planchet errors, die cracks, die breaks, missing design elements, unusual surfaces, and other abnormalities that may have occurred during the complicated process of manufacturing coins. The idea that a 2002 1-cent coin could be worth $227 million has attracted attention in sensational online stories, social media posts, videos, and clickbait headlines. However, there is no established evidence of a 2002 Lincoln cent selling for $227 million, and no recognized market record confirms such a valuation. A responsible collector should therefore treat a $227 million claim as an unverified or exaggerated statement rather than a confirmed current market price. This distinction is extremely important because the world of coin collecting is filled with dramatic claims about ordinary-looking coins supposedly being worth enormous fortunes. In reality, a coin's value is determined by evidence, rarity, condition, authenticity, documented auction results, collector demand, and professional evaluation. The fact that a coin is old, unusual-looking, or described online as an error does not automatically make it worth millions of dollars. Nevertheless, the 2002 Lincoln cent remains an interesting coin to study, especially when the discussion focuses on genuine errors and varieties. Understanding the coin's specifications, design, history, production, mint marks, composition, and possible errors can help collectors determine whether a particular example deserves closer attention. It can also help prevent people from confusing ordinary damage with genuine mint-made errors. The 2002 Lincoln cent was part of the Lincoln cent series that began in 1909. The coin features the famous portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, or front, while the reverse used in 2002 displayed the Lincoln Memorial. This design had been used on the reverse since 1959, when the United States Mint introduced it to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The 2002 cent therefore belongs to an important period in American coinage, coming shortly before the major redesign of the Lincoln cent reverse in 2009 and the introduction of the Union Shield reverse in 2010. The standard 2002 Lincoln cent has a diameter of approximately 19.05 millimeters and a weight of approximately 2.5 grams. It has a plain edge rather than a reeded edge. The coin is composed of a copper-plated zinc core, consisting of approximately 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper by weight. The outer copper plating gives the coin its familiar reddish or copper-colored appearance, even though the majority of the coin's mass is zinc. This composition had been used for Lincoln cents since 1982, when the United States Mint moved away from the traditional bronze composition used for earlier cents. The weight of approximately 2.5 grams is one of the useful measurements for collectors examining a 2002 penny. However, weight alone cannot prove that a coin is an error. Normal manufacturing tolerances, wear, dirt, corrosion, environmental exposure, and damage can all affect a coin's measured weight. A collector who suspects an unusual 2002 cent should examine the coin carefully and compare it with known specifications. A professional scale capable of measuring to at least 1/100th of a gram can be useful for preliminary examination, but professional authentication may be necessary for valuable errors. The Lincoln portrait on the obverse is one of the most recognizable designs in American coinage. Abraham Lincoln faces to the right, with the inscriptions Liberty and I in God We Trust appearing on the obverse. The date 2002 appears below the portrait. Depending on where the coin was struck, a mint mark may appear below the date. The Philadelphia Mint generally produced cents without a mint mark, while the Denver Mint used a D mint mark. San Francisco produced cents intended for proof sets carry an S mint mark. The mint mark can be an important identifying feature because collectors may distinguish coins based on their production facility and finish. The absence of a mint mark on a 2002 Lincoln cent does not automatically mean the coin is rare. This is an important point for beginning collectors. Many people see a 2002 penny without a mint mark and assume that it must be a valuable error. In reality, cents struck at the Philadelphia Mint normally did not carry a mint mark. Therefore, a 2002 penny without a mint mark can be a completely normal Philadelphia issue. The lack of a mint mark becomes significant only when the circumstances surrounding the coin indicate a genuine production anomaly. The Denver version carries a D mint mark, identifying the Denver Mint as the production facility. The San Francisco version is generally associated with proof coinage and carries an S mint mark. Proof coins are manufactured using specialized preparation and striking methods designed to create sharper details and highly reflective fields. A proof coin can have a different appearance from a circulation strike, and collectors should understand the difference before deciding whether a particular 2002 cent is unusual. The reverse of the 2002 Lincoln cent features the Lincoln Memorial. Above the monument is the inscription United States of America, while the denomination 1 cent appears below. The phrase E pluribus unum is located above the Lincoln Memorial. The Lincoln Memorial reverse is historically important because it was used on Lincoln cents for 5 decades, from 1959 through 2008. On the reverse design, the tiny image of the Lincoln Memorial can be examined with magnification. Collectors sometimes look for unusual doubling or die characteristics in the lettering and architectural details. One of the most important concepts in collecting error coins is the difference between a true mint error and post-mint damage. A genuine mint error occurs during the manufacturing process at the mint. Post-mint damage occurs after the coin leaves the mint. This distinction can make an enormous difference in value. For example, a coin that has been squeezed in a machine, scratched with a tool, heated, chemically altered, or intentionally modified may look unusual, but it is not necessarily a collectible mint error. A true 2002 Lincoln cent error could theoretically take several forms. One possible category is an off-center strike. An off-center error occurs when the planchette is not correctly positioned between the dies at the moment of striking. The resulting coin may have part of the design missing from one side and an unusually wide blank area on the opposite side. The degree of off-centering can affect desirability. A minor shift may be interesting, but relatively modest in value, while a dramatic off-center strike that still retains the date can be much more desirable. The date is particularly important because it allows collectors to identify the coin. Another possible error is a broad strike. A broad strike occurs when the retaining collar fails to properly contain the planchette during striking. The coin can expand beyond its normal diameter and develop an unusual shape. A genuine broad strike can be collectible, but it must be distinguished from coins that have been intentionally flattened or damaged outside the mint. A clipped planchette is another type of mint error that collectors sometimes encounter. A clipped planchette occurs when a blank is improperly punched from the metal strip, resulting in a portion of the coin missing. The shape of the clip can vary. A curved clip may appear as a crescent-shaped missing section, while other types can have different forms. Genuine clipped planchettes often display specific characteristics that help specialists identify them. A simple bite-shaped mark or damaged edge is not automatically evidence of a mint error. A particularly dramatic category of error is a wrong planchette error. This occurs when a coin is struck on a planchette intended for another denomination or another type of coin. Wrong planchette errors can be highly collectible because they are unusual and often require expert authentication. The weight, diameter, metal composition, and design characteristics can all help establish whether a suspected wrong planchette coin is genuine. For a 2002 Lincoln cent, the copper-plated zinc composition creates another area of interest. Because the coin contains a zinc core covered by copper plating, damage to the plating can produce unusual-looking surfaces. Sometimes the copper layer may crack, peel, bubble, or expose the underlying zinc. These conditions can look dramatic to a casual observer, but not every unusual surface is a valuable mint error. Some may be the result of environmental corrosion, chemical exposure, or ordinary deterioration. A plating error can be more interesting if it occurred during manufacturing. Copper plating problems can potentially create areas where the coating is missing, incomplete, or improperly bonded. Collectors may refer to such coins as having plating errors, but authentication is essential. A coin that has lost its copper plating after leaving the mint is not necessarily equivalent to a coin that left the mint with a defective plating process. The copper-plated zinc composition also makes 2002 cents particularly vulnerable to environmental damage. When the copper plating is scratched or broken, the exposed zinc core can react with moisture and oxygen. Over time, this can create white, gray, or chalky areas. Some people mistake these surfaces for rare errors. In many cases, however, they are simply examples of environmental damage. Another error category that attracts collectors is double dies. A double die occurs during the die-making process, when a design is impressed more than once onto a die in misaligned positions. This can create visible doubling on parts of the coin design. True double dies can be collectible, but they must be distinguished from machine doubling or strike doubling. Machine doubling is a different phenomenon caused during the striking process, and is often much less valuable. When examining a possible double 2002 Lincoln cent, collectors may use magnification to inspect the date, lettering, and other design elements. Strong, clear separation between doubled elements can be more significant than a flat shelf-like appearance associated with machine doubling. However, identifying double dies requires specialized knowledge, and professional references or expert opinions can be valuable. The date 2002 itself is not automatically rare. Millions of Lincoln cents were produced for circulation and collectors. Therefore, the date alone does not create extraordinary value. The value comes from the specific combination of date, mint mark, condition, error type, rarity, and demand. A normal circulated 2002 Lincoln cent is generally a common modern coin and is often worth approximately its face value, 1 cent, unless there's a special characteristic. Uncirculated examples can have higher collector value depending on condition and demand. Proof examples can also carry premiums, especially in high grades or special proof designations. Certified coins with exceptional grades may be worth more than ordinary examples. This is where the concept of grading becomes important. Coin grading is the process of evaluating a coin's condition. A coin that has been heavily circulated may show wear on Lincoln's portrait, the lettering, and the Lincoln Memorial. An uncirculated coin may retain its original mint luster and sharp details. Professional grading services evaluate coins according to established standards and assign grades that help collectors compare pieces. For modern Lincoln cents, extremely high grades can sometimes attract collectors. A 2002 cent that has remained untouched since leaving the mint may have a bright, attractive appearance. However, a high grade alone does not turn an ordinary coin into a multimillion-dollar rarity. The market must support the value, and documented sales are important evidence. The claim of a $227 million value is therefore best understood as a sensational figure rather than an established market valuation. If someone finds a 2002 penny and sees an online video claiming that the coin is worth $227 million, the safest approach is to investigate the claim rather than immediately believing it. The collector should determine whether there is an actual documented auction sale, whether the coin was professionally authenticated, whether the reported price was a real transaction, and whether the exact same variety is being discussed. A legitimate market value should ideally be supported by evidence from recognized auction records, professional grading services, reputable dealers, or established numismatic organizations. A random website or social media post claiming that a coin is worth hundreds of millions of dollars is not sufficient evidence. This does not mean that error coins are unimportant. Quite the opposite is true. Genuine mint errors can be fascinating and can command premiums. The key is understanding that rarity and authenticity matter more than sensational claims. Imagine, for example, that someone discovers a 2002 Lincoln cent with a dramatic off-center strike. If the coin is clearly missing a significant portion of the design because the blank was improperly positioned, and the date remains visible, collectors may find it interesting. If the coin is professionally authenticated, its value could be significantly higher than 1 cent. But the exact value would depend on the severity of the error, the coin's condition, the demand at the time of sale, and comparable auction results. Now imagine a 2002 cent with a large clipped planchette error. If the clip is clearly mint-made and the coin displays characteristics consistent with a genuine clipped planchette, it could attract collectors. Again, the value would depend on the size and type of the clip and the overall condition. Consider a hypothetical wrong planchette, 2002 Lincoln cent. If a cent were accidentally struck on a planchette intended for another denomination, the coin could become considerably more interesting. A professional grading service would likely be needed to confirm the composition and authenticity. Such an error could potentially be worth substantially more than face value, but the exact amount could only be determined by the marketplace. The same principle applies to doubled dies. A strong and clearly identifiable double die can be more valuable than a coin showing minor machine doubling. Collectors should learn the difference before spending money based on claims of rarity. One of the biggest challenges for new collectors is learning to distinguish genuine errors from damage. The internet is full of photographs of coins with strange shapes, unusual colors, and damaged surfaces. Some are legitimate mint errors. Others are ordinary coins that have been exposed to machines, chemicals, heat, pressure, or other environmental conditions. For example, a 2002 penny with a deep scratch across Lincoln's face may look unusual, but the scratch was likely caused after the coin left the mint. A coin with a flattened edge may have been squeezed or struck outside normal mint production. A penny that has turned black may have experienced environmental exposure. A coin with a hole may have been intentionally modified for jewelry. These conditions generally do not make a coin a valuable mint error. A genuine error should be consistent with the minting process. Collectors therefore benefit from learning how coins are made. The manufacturing process begins with metal strip. Blanks are punched from the strip and processed into planchets. The planchets are then fed into striking presses. Dies bearing the coin designs strike the planchets with tremendous pressure. The finished coins are inspected, counted, and distributed. Errors can occur at various stages of this process. A blank could be improperly punched. A planchette could be damaged. A die could develop a crack or break. A planchette could be incorrectly positioned. A wrong planchette could enter a press. A die could become misaligned. A collar could malfunction. Each of these possibilities can produce different types of errors. The 2002 Lincoln cent therefore provides an excellent case study for understanding modern coin production. Its copper-plated zinc composition also creates special challenges because the coin's appearance can change significantly if the plating is damaged. The design of the Lincoln cent has a remarkable history. The Lincoln portrait was introduced in 1909, making Abraham Lincoln the first United States president to appear on a regular circulating American coin. The decision was historically significant. Lincoln had been assassinated in 1865, and by 1909, the centennial of his birth provided an opportunity to commemorate his legacy. Victor David Brenner designed the Lincoln portrait used on the cent. The original reverse design featured two wheat ears surrounding the inscriptions 1 cent and United States of America. These coins became known as wheat cents. In 1959, the reverse changed to the Lincoln Memorial design created by Frank Gasparro. The new reverse celebrated the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The Lincoln Memorial remained on the cent through 2008. In 2009, the United States Mint issued 4 different reverse designs commemorating major periods of Lincoln's life. In 2010, the Union Shield reverse became the standard design for the cent. The 2002 cent therefore occupies an interesting place near the end of the Lincoln Memorial era. It is not an ancient coin, but it is part of a historic design series that lasted for decades. Collectors sometimes assume that a coin must be old to be valuable. This is not always true. Modern coins can become valuable when they have extraordinary errors, extremely low surviving populations, unusual varieties, or exceptional condition. However, age by itself is not enough. The 2002 penny illustrates this perfectly. It is relatively recent, so ordinary examples are common. But if a genuine mint error exists in a small number of pieces, the error can create scarcity. The value comes from the rarity of the specific variety, not simply from the date. The condition of a 2002 Lincoln cent can also influence its desirability. A coin that has been in circulation for years may have scratches, dents, discoloration, and wear. An uncirculated coin may have sharper details and more attractive luster. A proof coin may have mirror-like fields and frosted design elements. Collectors often prefer coins that have been preserved carefully and have not been cleaned or damaged. Cleaning is particularly important. Many inexperienced collectors believe that polishing a coin will increase its value. In reality, cleaning can reduce the value of collectible coins because it removes the original surface and can leave scratches or unnatural brightness. Professional collectors often prefer coins with original surfaces. If someone discovers a potentially valuable 2002 era, aggressive cleaning should be avoided. The safest approach is to preserve the coin in its current state and seek professional advice. The first step in evaluating a suspected 2002 era is to examine the coin under good lighting. A magnifying glass or loupe can help reveal small details. The collector should record the weight and diameter, inspect both sides, examine the edge, and photograph the coin clearly. The next step is to identify the mint mark. Is there a D? Is there an S? Is there no mint mark? The answer helps determine the coin's origin and type. However, the absence of a mint mark on a 2002 circulation cent is normally expected for Philadelphia production, and should not be treated as a rare error by itself. The collector should then examine the date. Is it properly formed? Is there visible doubling? Is the date unusually positioned? Does the coin show evidence of an off-center strike? Are any design elements missing because of a striking problem? The edge should also be inspected. Is the coin unusually wide? Is the edge normal? Does it show signs of a clip? Has the coin been damaged after leaving the mint? The surface should be evaluated carefully. Are there bubbles in the copper plating? Is the zinc core exposed? Are there signs of corrosion? Does the unusual appearance appear consistent with a minting problem or environmental damage? Weight is another useful clue. A standard 2002 cent should weigh approximately 2.5 grams. A significant difference can indicate a possible wrong planchet error, missing plating, or another unusual condition. However, weight variations should always be interpreted carefully. A digital scale can provide a useful starting point. For serious examination, collectors may use more advanced equipment, including calipers, microscopes, and metal analysis tools. Professional grading companies can perform additional authentication and examination. The term error coin is often used incorrectly online. Some sellers describe any unusual coin as an error. This can create confusion. A coin with a scratch is not automatically an error. A coin with discoloration is not automatically an error. A coin with a bent edge is not automatically an error. A coin that appears shiny is not automatically proof. A coin with no mint mark is not automatically rare. Understanding these distinctions can save collectors from wasting money. One of the most important lessons from the 2002 Lincoln cent is that rarity must be demonstrated. If a seller claims a coin is worth $227 million, ask for evidence. Where did the valuation come from? Was the coin sold at auction? Which auction house? When was the sale? Was the coin certified? What was the certification number? Are there comparable sales? If there is no evidence, the claim should not be treated as a confirmed market value. The $227 million figure is dramatically higher than documented prices normally associated with Lincoln cents. Even the most famous and rare Lincoln cent varieties have not established a legitimate $227 million market record. Therefore, describing a normal 2002 penny as being worth $227 million would be inaccurate. For a YouTube audience, however, the topic can still be engaging. The story of a common-looking penny potentially hiding a genuine mint error is compelling because millions of people handle coins every day without examining them closely. The excitement comes from the possibility of discovery, not from guaranteeing an unrealistic fortune. A collector looking through a jar of 2002 pennies should not expect to find a $227 million coin. But they may find a coin worth more than face value if it contains a genuine error or unusual variety. That possibility is what makes coin hunting enjoyable. The market for modern Lincoln cents is influenced by several factors. One is rarity. If only a small number of examples are known, collectors may compete strongly for them. Another factor is visibility. A dramatic error that can be immediately recognized may attract more attention than a subtle variety requiring specialized knowledge. Condition is another factor. A rare error in excellent condition can be more desirable than a heavily damaged example. Certification can also influence market confidence. A professionally authenticated coin provides buyers with greater assurance that the error is genuine. This is especially important for expensive coins. The reputation of the grading service can also matter. Collectors often rely on established professional grading organizations for authentication and grading. A coin with credible certification may be easier to sell than an uncertified coin, especially when substantial money is involved. Auction results are another important source of market information. The best way to understand what collectors are actually paying is to examine documented sales of comparable coins. Asking prices are not the same as realized prices. A seller can list a coin for $227 million, but that does not mean anyone is willing to pay $227 million. This distinction between asking price and actual market value is essential. Online marketplaces sometimes contain extreme listings with enormous prices. These listings can create the illusion that a coin has a huge value, but unless a buyer actually completes the transaction, the listing does not establish a market record. The same principle applies to viral videos. A thumbnail may show a 2002 penny with the words "worth $227 million." Such a headline may attract viewers, but it does not prove the coin is worth that amount. Responsible coin content should separate entertainment from verified numismatic facts. A creator can discuss the possibility of rare errors while clearly explaining that the $227 million figure is not a confirmed market value. The 2002 cent also has an important relationship with the broader history of American money. The penny has long played a symbolic role in American culture. It carries the portrait of Lincoln, one of the nation's most important historical figures. It is the smallest denomination of regular U.S. coinage, yet it has been collected by generations of Americans. The Lincoln cent has survived major changes in American history. It has been produced through economic crises, wars, technological changes, and shifts in metal prices. The coin's composition has changed over time, including the temporary use of steel cents during World War II in 1943, and the later transition from bronze to copper-plated zinc in 1982. By 2002, the copper-plated zinc composition was standard. The change was driven largely by the rising cost of copper. A traditional bronze cent contains a much higher proportion of copper than a modern copper-plated zinc cent. This makes the 2002 cent materially different from many older Lincoln cents. Collectors should therefore avoid assuming that all Lincoln cents have the same metal composition. A 1909 Lincoln cent and a 2002 Lincoln cent are fundamentally different in terms of composition, even though they share the famous Lincoln portrait. The 2002 coin's weight of approximately 2.5 grams is also much lower than the 3.11 gram weight of the traditional bronze Lincoln cent used before the 1982 composition change. This difference can be helpful when identifying unusual coins. For example, if someone claims that a 2002 penny is made entirely of copper, weighing approximately 3.11 grams, that claim deserves investigation. However, even then, the coin would need to be authenticated. A coin can be altered, plated, or chemically treated after leaving the mint. The possibility of a wrong planchette strike is one reason weight and composition matter. A coin struck on the wrong planchette may have a weight that differs significantly from the standard. The diameter may also be unusual. However, a single measurement cannot establish authenticity. Collectors should also be aware of counterfeit coins. As the value of an alleged error increases, the incentive to create altered pieces also increases. Some individuals may modify ordinary coins and attempt to sell them as rare errors. Professional authentication can protect buyers from such situations. A genuine 2002 era coin should have characteristics consistent with the minting process. Experts often examine the metal flow, strike characteristics, edge shape, design details, and surface patterns. The goal is to determine whether the unusual feature occurred during manufacturing or afterward. The concept of mint state is also important. A coin graded MS indicates that it has not circulated and retains a high degree of original condition. Numerical grades can range upward depending on the grading system. However, a high grade does not guarantee extraordinary value. A common 2002 cent in high grade may be worth more than a circulated coin, but it is still a common date unless a special variety or error is present. This is why collectors should not confuse condition with rarity. The most valuable coin is often one that combines multiple desirable factors. Imagine a hypothetical 2002 Lincoln cent with a dramatic, confirmed mint error, an extremely low surviving population, excellent preservation, and strong collector demand. Such a coin could be highly valuable relative to ordinary examples. Yet the exact price would still be determined by the marketplace. The phrase "worth big money" therefore needs context. Big money can mean different things depending on the coin. A rare error might be worth tens, hundreds, or thousands of dollars, while particularly unusual pieces could potentially command much higher prices. But a $227 million valuation is not a verified current market price for a 2002 Lincoln cent. The history of the penny also demonstrates why collectors continue to examine modern coins. Many famous errors were discovered after coins entered circulation. Collectors found unusual pieces in change and later realized that they had important characteristics. The thrill of coin hunting comes from the fact that you do not always know what you will find. A handful of pennies can contain examples from different years, different mints, different compositions, and different conditions. Most will be ordinary, but occasionally a coin may deserve further examination. A 2002 cent with an unusual appearance should therefore not be immediately discarded. It should be examined systematically. First, check the date. Confirm that it is actually 2002. Second, identify the mint mark. Third, weigh the coin. Fourth, inspect the diameter and edge. Fifth, examine the design under magnification. Sixth, compare the suspected error with reliable numismatic references. Finally, if the coin appears genuinely rare, consider professional authentication. A collector should be cautious about cleaning or altering the coin during this process. The original condition is part of the evidence. If the coin is worth only 1 cent, there is no major financial loss. But if the coin is genuinely rare, improper handling could reduce its value. The idea of a $227 million penny can also teach an important lesson about internet misinformation. A claim repeated thousands of times does not become true simply because it is popular. Coin values should be based on verifiable information. This is particularly important for beginners. Someone who sees a viral video might search through every penny in their house expecting to become wealthy. When they find an ordinary 2002 cent, they may believe they missed something. The reality is that most 2002 pennies are ordinary. That does not make them useless or uninteresting. They are still part of American history. The 2002 Lincoln cent represents a period of transition in the broader story of the cent. It was produced only a few years before the special 2009 designs and less than a decade before the Union Shield reverse. It belongs to the final years of the Lincoln Memorial reverse, making it a modern example of a historic design. The coin's inscriptions also carry symbolic meaning. Liberty reflects the American ideal of freedom. In God We Trust is the national motto appearing on U.S. coinage. United States of America identifies the issuing nation. E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, reflects the concept of unity. 1 cent identifies the denomination. The portrait of Lincoln adds another layer of historical importance. Lincoln's presidency is closely associated with the Civil War, the preservation of the Union, and the abolition of slavery. His image on the cent connects everyday commerce with a major period in American history. The Lincoln Memorial on the reverse is also symbolically significant. The memorial itself stands in Washington, D.C., and honors Lincoln's legacy. The appearance of the memorial on the cent made the coin a miniature representation of an important national landmark. When a collector examines a 2002 penny, they are therefore looking at more than a piece of metal. They are looking at a continuation of a design tradition that began nearly a century earlier. The question of value is ultimately more complicated than a single number. A normal circulated 2002 cent may be worth 1 cent. A nice uncirculated example may have a modest premium. A proof coin may be worth more depending on grade. A genuine error could command a larger premium. A rare and dramatic certified error could potentially be worth much more. The exact value must be determined case by case. If a collector believes they have discovered an extraordinary error, the best approach is not to advertise it immediately as a multimillion-dollar coin. Instead, document it carefully. Take clear photographs of the obverse and reverse. Photograph the edge. Record the weight and diameter. Note the mint mark. Compare the coin to standard examples. Seek expert opinions. If an expert confirms the error, professional certification may be the next step. Once authenticated, the coin can be compared with similar examples that have sold in the marketplace. This is how responsible valuation works. The same method should be applied to any claim about the 2002 Lincoln cent being worth $227 million. Ask whether the claim is based on a confirmed auction result or merely an online estimate. Ask whether the coin itself has been authenticated. Ask whether the supposed value represents a completed sale or an arbitrary asking price. In the absence of documented evidence, the $227 million figure should not be presented as the current market value. There is another important point about coin collecting: value can change. Even genuine rare coins do not have one permanent price. Market demand changes. Economic conditions change. Collector preferences change. The same coin may sell for different prices at different times. A coin that sells for $1,000 at one auction might sell for $1,500 at another. Another example in a lower grade might sell for much less. The venue, timing, buyer interest, certification, and presentation can all influence the result. Therefore, saying that a coin is worth a specific amount requires careful qualification. The 2002 Lincoln cent is also an excellent example of why mint errors should be studied scientifically. Instead of relying on photographs alone, collectors can examine the physical characteristics of the coin. A genuine off-center strike will display specific patterns. A broad strike will have characteristics associated with collar failure. A clipped planchette will often show evidence of the punching process. A double die will show specific design doubling that differs from machine doubling. Learning these characteristics can turn casual coin searching into a serious hobby. One of the most rewarding parts of collecting is discovering something that others may have overlooked. A coin that appears ordinary at first may reveal interesting details under magnification. Perhaps the date has unusual doubling. Perhaps the coin is dramatically off-center. Perhaps the edge reveals a striking anomaly. Perhaps the weight is unusual enough to justify further investigation. The important thing is to remain skeptical and methodical. A collector should never assume that every unusual-looking penny is valuable. At the same time, they should not assume that every modern penny is worthless. Both extremes can lead to mistakes. The 2002 cent is a good example of the middle ground. Most examples are common. Some may have collectible characteristics. A very small number could potentially have genuine errors. The challenge is identifying the difference. The role of professional grading services is particularly important when dealing with expensive errors. Authentication can establish whether the coin is genuine and whether the unusual feature is mint-made. Grading can also provide an independent assessment of condition. For collectors interested in the 2002 cent, the most useful equipment is relatively simple. A good light source, a digital scale, a magnifying loupe, and a set of calipers can provide valuable information. However, these tools should be considered preliminary. They do not replace professional authentication. When using a scale, make sure it is calibrated. When measuring diameter, avoid damaging the coin. When examining the surface, do not scrape or scratch it. When handling valuable coins, hold them by the edges to avoid transferring oils from your fingers to the surface. Proper storage is also important. Coins should be protected from moisture, chemicals, and extreme environmental conditions. Collectors often use holders designed specifically for coins. Avoid materials that may react with the coin over long periods. The 2002 cents copper plating makes storage particularly relevant. Damage to the plating can expose the zinc core, and environmental conditions can accelerate deterioration. A coin that has been stored in a damp environment may develop corrosion or discoloration. The term red can also be relevant in modern copper-plated sense, though the grading standards and designations used by professional services should be consulted carefully. Original color and surface quality may influence collector interest. A coin's appearance can also change due to toning. Toning is a natural chemical reaction between the metal surface and the environment. Some collectors appreciate attractive toning, while others prefer bright original surfaces. Artificially colored coins are generally less desirable. The 2002 cent therefore offers a wide range of collecting possibilities, from ordinary pocket change to unusual errors and high-grade examples. The history of the U.S. Mint itself adds another dimension. The production of coins involves highly specialized machinery and strict quality controls, but errors can still escape into circulation. The sheer volume of coins produced means that even extremely small error rates can result in collectible examples. Every year, millions or billions of coins may be produced. Even if only a tiny fraction contain a particular error, that can still result in surviving examples. If an error is discovered and recognized, collectors may begin searching for additional examples. Some errors become famous because they are dramatic. Others are famous because they are rare. Some are valuable because collectors actively seek them. Others remain inexpensive because the error is common or unattractive. This is why there is no universal price for an error penny. The exact error matters. The severity matters. The condition matters. The authenticity matters. The market demand matters. The number of known examples matters. The certification matters. The history of documented sales matters. All of these factors must be considered together. A 2002 penny, with a tiny scratch, is not comparable to a dramatic wrong planchette error. A coin with ordinary machine doubling is not comparable to a rare doubled die. A damaged copper plating is not automatically comparable to a confirmed mint plating error. This distinction is critical for anyone researching claims of extraordinary value. The $227 million figure should therefore be treated as a sensational claim rather than a confirmed market fact. It may be used in online content as a discussion point, but responsible reporting should clearly state that there is no verified evidence supporting that price for a 2002 Lincoln cent. The real story is arguably more interesting. The 2002 penny is a common coin that demonstrates how a small object can connect everyday life with American history, industrial manufacturing, coin collecting, and the science of numismatics. Imagine finding a 2002 penny in a jar of coins. You turn it over and notice that something seems unusual. Perhaps the edge looks strange. Perhaps the coin is larger than normal. Perhaps part of the design is missing. Perhaps the date appears doubled. Instead of immediately assuming that you have found a fortune, you begin investigating. You weigh the coin. You measure it. You photograph it. You compare it with known examples. You search reliable numismatic references. You ask experienced collectors. Eventually, you may discover that the coin is ordinary. That is perfectly fine. You have learned something. Or you may discover that the coin has an interesting error. Now the investigation becomes even more exciting. This process is at the heart of coin collecting. The possibility of finding a valuable coin is part of the attraction, but the deeper reward is learning about history and craftsmanship. The 2002 Lincoln cent also reminds collectors that the word rare must be used carefully. A coin can be uncommon without being valuable. A coin can be rare but have little demand. A coin can be common but popular. Value is the result of multiple factors. For example, a certain error may be technically unusual, but visually unattractive. Collectors may not compete strongly for it. Another error may be dramatic and easy to understand, creating greater demand. The market is ultimately shaped by people. Collectors decide what they want. Dealers decide what they are willing to pay. Auction bidders compete for coins they consider desirable. Certification companies provide authentication and grading. Historical research establishes the context. Together, these forces create the real market. This is why a coin cannot be assigned a reliable value simply by looking at a viral video title. If someone truly discovers an extraordinary 2002 Lincoln cent, the coin should be protected from damage. It should not be polished. It should not be scratched to test the metal. It should not be drilled or modified. It should not be exposed to harsh chemicals. The best approach is preservation and documentation. The collector should also be cautious when sharing photographs online. While online communities can be helpful, opinions may vary widely. Some people may identify a coin correctly, while others may make exaggerated claims. The best information usually comes from experienced specialists and recognized references. If the coin appears valuable, professional authentication becomes especially important. The 2002 Lincoln cent is also interesting because of its position in the timeline of U.S. coinage. It was produced just 7 years before the Lincoln cent's 100th anniversary in 2009. The 2009 designs made the Lincoln cent a major focus of numismatic attention. Collectors who had previously ignored modern pennies began paying more attention to the series. The 2002 cent therefore sits within a period of transition. It represents the familiar Lincoln memorial design that millions of Americans grew up using, but it also belongs to the final generation of that reverse before the 2009 commemorative designs and the 2010 Union Shield. The coin's simple appearance can hide its historical context. A penny from 2002 may have been used to buy candy, pay a tax, complete a cash transaction, or sit unnoticed in a drawer. It may have traveled across multiple states before ending up in a collection. Every circulated coin has a story, even if the story is unknown. Collectors often appreciate this aspect of numismatics. Coins are small historical objects that move through society. The 2002 Lincoln cent is also a reminder of how modern technology has changed collecting. Today, a collector can photograph a coin with a smartphone, weigh it with a digital scale, research varieties online, compare auction records, and communicate with experts around the world. This access to information can help collectors make better decisions, but it also creates opportunities for misinformation. Viral claims can spread quickly, especially when they involve enormous numbers such as $227 million. The best defense is education. Learn the specifications. Learn the design. Learn the minting process. Learn the difference between errors and damage. Learn how grading works. Learn how auction records work. Learn how to verify claims. These skills are more valuable than any single coin. When discussing the market value of a 2002 Lincoln cent, it is therefore reasonable to say that ordinary examples are generally worth around face value, with premiums possible for uncirculated, proof, certified, or genuinely unusual examples. A rare, authenticated mint error could be worth more, sometimes significantly more, depending on its characteristics. It is not reasonable to state that every 2002 penny is worth $227 million. It is not reasonable to state that a 2002 penny, with any error, is automatically worth $227 million. It is not reasonable to treat an online listing as proof of market value. And it is not reasonable to tell viewers that they have discovered a multimillion-dollar fortune without authentication. The responsible collector understands the difference between possibility and proof. A genuine error may be valuable. A dramatic error may be highly desirable. An exceptionally rare error may command a strong price. But the market determines the final value. The same logic applies to the concept of investment. Coins can be enjoyable collectibles, but buyers should be cautious about purchasing coins solely because someone promises enormous future profits. The numismatic market can fluctuate, and not every rare-looking coin appreciates in value. A collector should buy because they understand what they are purchasing. For someone searching specifically for 2002 cents, one practical strategy is to examine coins from different sources. Bank rolls, old jars, inherited collections, and pocket change can all contain interesting examples. However, the vast majority will be normal. When searching rolls, collectors should inspect the coins systematically. Instead of looking only for the year, examine the entire design. Check the date. Check the mint mark. Look for doubling. Examine the edges. Look for off-center strikes. Check the surface for unusual mint-made characteristics. It can be helpful to compare a suspected error with a normal 2002 cent. The differences become easier to identify when both coins are placed side by side. For example, if one coin appears to have a strange edge, compare it with a standard example. If one coin seems unusually wide, measure both. If one coin appears to have doubling, examine the same area on a normal coin. This comparative method can prevent false conclusions. The 2002 cents design also provides many areas for examination. On the obverse, collectors can inspect Liberty, In God We Trust, the date, and Lincoln's portrait. On the reverse, they can inspect United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, the Lincoln Memorial, and 1 cent. Errors can sometimes affect different areas of the design in different ways. The location and appearance of the anomaly can help experts determine what happened during production. The date is particularly important for identification. If an off-center strike is missing the date entirely, identifying the exact year may become difficult. A dramatic off-center coin retaining a complete date can therefore be especially interesting. This is one reason why error collectors often examine dates carefully. The mint mark can also help. A 2002 D cent indicates Denver production, while an S-marked proof cent is associated with San Francisco. Philadelphia cents generally have no mint mark. Again, the absence of a mint mark should not automatically be considered an error. Collectors should also be aware that modern proof coins can have different surfaces from circulation strikes. A proof coin may appear unusually sharp and reflective. This does not necessarily mean it is an error. The coin's overall characteristics must be considered. A 2002 proof cent may be found in a proof set or outside its original packaging. Proof coins can sometimes enter circulation if people spend them, although they were produced primarily for collectors. The market value of proof examples depends on grade, condition, and any unusual characteristics. One of the most interesting possibilities is a proof coin with a genuine mint error. Such coins can attract strong interest because proof production is carefully controlled. However, claims about proof errors also require authentication. The same standard should always apply: verify before valuing. The $227 million claim fails this test because there is no established evidence of a 2002 Lincoln cent selling for that amount. It should therefore be described as an exaggerated or unverified claim rather than a current market fact. A more realistic discussion of the 2002 Lincoln cent focuses on its historical significance and the potential of genuine errors. This provides viewers with useful information without misleading them. The coin's weight of approximately 2.5 grams is an important specification. Its diameter is approximately 19.05 millimeters. Its composition is copper-plated zinc. Its edge is plain. Its obverse features Victor David Brenner's Lincoln portrait, and its reverse features the Lincoln Memorial design associated with Frank Gasparro. The coin's denomination is 1 cent, represented by the words 1 cent on the reverse. Its national identity is represented by United States of America. Its motto E pluribus unum appears on the reverse. The phrase Iron God we trust appears on the obverse. Liberty appears to the right of Lincoln's portrait. The date 2002 identifies the year of issue. The mint mark, when present, identifies the production facility. Together, these elements make the coin immediately recognizable. Yet the small size of the penny does not diminish its historical importance. For more than a century, Lincoln has appeared on the cent. Millions of Americans have grown up recognizing his face. The coin is one of the most familiar pieces of American currency. The 2002 issue continues that legacy. When the coin was produced, the United States was entering the 21st century. Technology was rapidly changing society. Digital payments were becoming increasingly important. Yet physical coins continued to circulate. Today, the 2002 penny is already more than 2 decades old. That may seem recent, but as time passes, ordinary coins from the early 21st century will increasingly become historical artifacts. This does not automatically make them rare, but it adds context. Collectors often begin with coins from their own lifetime. A 2002 penny may be meaningful to someone who remembers using it as a child. Another collector may appreciate it because it represents the end of an era in Lincoln cent design. The emotional connection can be as important as the monetary value. That is why the best coin collections are not always the most expensive. A collection built around personal history can be deeply meaningful. The 2002 cent can fit into many collecting themes. A collector might assemble one example from each year of the Lincoln Memorial reverse. Another might focus on mint marks. Another might search exclusively for errors. Another might collect high-grade modern cents. Another might study die varieties. The coin can therefore appeal to both beginners and advanced collectors. For beginners, the 2002 penny is accessible because it is common and inexpensive. You can examine examples without risking a large financial investment. For advanced collectors, unusual errors and varieties provide greater challenges. The search for a rare 2002 error can become a research project. The collector may need to compare photographs, study die characteristics, consult specialists, and investigate auction records. This is where numismatics becomes more than a hobby. It becomes a combination of history, science, economics, and detective work. The story of a supposed $227 million 2002 penny is therefore best reframed as a lesson in critical thinking. The headline may be exciting, but the real questions are more important. Is the coin genuine? Is the error real? Is the error rare? Has the coin been authenticated? Has a comparable coin sold? What did it sell for? Is the price being quoted an actual sale or merely an asking price? These questions can separate reliable information from internet hype. For anyone who owns a 2002 penny, there is no need to assume that it is worthless. At the same time, there is no reason to assume that it is a multimillion-dollar treasure. The truth lies in examining the individual coin. The most important thing to remember is that value comes from characteristics, not from the year alone. A 2002 penny with no unusual features is generally common. A 2002 penny with a legitimate error may be collectible. A rare certified error may be valuable. An exceptional example may bring a strong auction price. But the extraordinary $227 million figure remains unverified. This balanced perspective allows collectors to enjoy the excitement without spreading misinformation. The history of the Lincoln cent itself is proof that even small changes in coin production can create important varieties. Over the decades, collectors have documented numerous errors and varieties. Some became famous, while others remained obscure. The 2002 cent is no exception to the possibility of unusual production mistakes, but the burden of proof remains important. Collectors should also remember that mint errors are not the same as varieties. An error is generally an unintended mistake in production, while a variety may result from differences in dyes or design preparation. The two categories can overlap in popular discussion, but technically they are distinct. This distinction becomes important when researching specific coins. If a 2002 cent shows unusual doubling, the collector should determine whether it is a true double die or machine doubling. If the coin has a strange shape, determine whether it is an off-center strike, broad strike, or post-mint damage. If the surface is unusual, determine whether it is a plating error or environmental deterioration. The more accurately the coin is identified, the more accurately its value can be estimated. A coin's provenance can also matter. If a coin has a documented history, previous auction records, or recognized certification, that information can increase confidence. However, provenance alone does not create value. The coin itself must still be genuine and desirable. Collectors should keep records of their coins when possible. Photographs, purchase receipts, certification information, and notes can be useful. The 2002 Lincoln cent may appear ordinary, but the process of studying it can teach collectors many important principles. It teaches the importance of specifications. It teaches the difference between errors and damage. It teaches the role of condition. It teaches the importance of authentication. It teaches how markets determine value. It teaches why auction records matter. It teaches why online claims should be investigated. And it demonstrates how a small coin can carry a large historical story. The penny's low denomination can also be misleading. Because the coin is worth only 1 cent in ordinary use, people often ignore it. Yet collectors know that the face value of a coin is not always the same as its collector value. A rare coin can be worth many times its denomination. The key word is rare. A common coin remains common even if it is old. An unusual coin can be valuable even if it is modern. A genuine error can create scarcity. A rare variety can create demand. A high grade can increase desirability. A famous historical connection can increase interest. These factors work together. For the 2002 Lincoln cent, the normal market is generally modest. The coin is not inherently a multimillion-dollar issue. The possibility of greater value lies in exceptional circumstances. That is the honest and useful way to approach the subject. If a viewer watches a video about a $227 million 2002 penny, the most responsible message is not that every 2002 cent is a hidden fortune. The message should be that collectors should learn how to identify genuine errors and verify extraordinary claims. Perhaps one day a previously unknown and spectacular 2002 error will be discovered. If so, the coin could attract serious attention. But until such a discovery is documented and sold, no responsible source should claim that a 2002 cent has a confirmed $227 million market value. The world of numismatics is full of surprises, but it is also a field built on evidence. A coin story should be supported by facts. Its specifications should be accurate. Its rarity should be documented. Its condition should be professionally assessed when necessary. Its value should be based on actual market evidence. The 2002 Lincoln cent is an excellent example of how these principles work. The coin weighs approximately 2.5 grams. It measures approximately 19.05 millimeters in diameter. It has a plain edge. It is made primarily of zinc with a thin copper plating. It carries Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the obverse. It displays the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. It contains the inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, United States of America, E Pluribus Unum, and 1 cent. Its mint mark can identify the production facility. Its history connects it to more than a century of Lincoln cent production. Its reverse design connects it to the 1959 through 2008 Lincoln Memorial era. Its composition connects it to the post-1982 era of copper-plated zinc cents. Its date places it only a few years before the major Lincoln cent redesigns of 2009. And its potential errors make it interesting to collectors who enjoy searching for unusual pieces. The 2002 cent is therefore worth studying, even if it is not worth $227 million. The real excitement lies in the possibility that a small number of coins may contain genuine mint-made anomalies that separate them from ordinary examples. That is the essence of error coin collecting. It is not about believing every exaggerated claim. It is about learning to recognize what is real. A collector who understands this can look at a 2002 penny with a trained eye. Instead of seeing only 1 cent, they see the production process behind the coin. They see the blanking of the metal strip, the preparation of the planchette, the striking press, the dies, the collar, and the possibility of something going wrong. They also see history. They see Lincoln. They see the Lincoln Memorial. They see the evolution of American coinage. They see the transition from traditional bronze cents to copper-plated zinc. They see the final years of the Lincoln Memorial reverse. And they see the possibility of discovery. This is why the 2002 Lincoln cent remains an interesting subject for collectors and viewers alike. If you have a 2002 penny, examine it carefully. Look at the date. Look at the mint mark. Inspect the lettering. Examine the edges. Check the weight. Compare it with a normal example. If you notice something genuinely unusual, preserve the coin and seek expert advice. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not scratch it. Do not intentionally modify it. Do not assume a viral valuation is accurate. And do not assume that an unusual appearance automatically means a valuable error. Instead, investigate. The most important discovery may not be a $227 million fortune. It may be the discovery of knowledge. The more you learn about coins, the more interesting ordinary pocket change becomes. A penny can teach you about history. It can teach you about manufacturing. It can teach you about economics. It can teach you about metallurgy. It can teach you about art. It can teach you about collecting. And sometimes, if you are exceptionally fortunate, it can lead you to a genuine rarity. That possibility is enough to keep collectors searching. The 2002 Lincoln cent may never become a $227 million coin, and there is currently no verified evidence that such a valuation exists. But a genuine and authenticated error can still make an individual example more interesting and potentially more valuable than an ordinary cent. The lesson is simple: do not chase the headline, examine the coin. Do not trust the number, verify the evidence. Do not assume the error, identify it. Do not guess the value, research the market. And above all, remember that every collectible coin has a story. The 2002 Lincoln cent tells the story of a nation continuing a century-old tradition while entering a new era. It carries the image of Abraham Lincoln, one of America's most recognizable historical figures. It carries the Lincoln Memorial, a symbol of remembrance and national history. It represents the final decade of the long-running memorial reverse. It reflects the modern copper-plated zinc composition. And when an unusual mint error appears, it becomes an example of the complexity and unpredictability of mass coin production. That is the true fascination of the 2002 penny. A coin that most people would ignore can become a subject of serious research. A small error can transform an ordinary object into a collectible. A rare variety can attract the attention of specialists. A certified example can enter the auction market. But extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Until there is a documented, authenticated, completed sale proving otherwise, the claim that a 2002 Lincoln cent has a current market value of $227 million should not be presented as fact. The realistic approach is to understand the coin first and the value second. Study the design. Learn the history. Know the weight. Understand the composition. Recognize the mint marks. Learn the common errors. Understand the difference between mint damage and post-mint damage. Research genuine auction records. Use professional authentication for serious discoveries. And remember that the real value of coin collecting is not always measured in dollars. Sometimes the value is historical. Sometimes it is educational. Sometimes it is sentimental. Sometimes it is the excitement of discovery. And occasionally, when the evidence is real and the rarity is genuine, the financial value can be significant. The 2002 Lincoln cent is therefore a perfect example of why collectors continue to search through coins that other people overlook. The majority will be ordinary, but every coin has the potential to teach something. And that is why, even more than 2 decades after its production, the 2002 1-cent coin remains an interesting part of American numismatic history.